In this video, I'm going to be talking about Moses and the burning bush and all of the elements in the universe. And this is in relation to African spirituality, and you should just get a basic understanding on that, and also about the significance of Africa and the location of the Garden of Eden. So all of this just ties into the same understanding about Moses and the burning bush, because when you understand the significance of that story, of how Moses was actually engaged in this lifelong quest. He was doing something that he was going to be doing. When God met him with the burning bush, he was with a flock of sheep and he was being a shepherd. And this is the moment that God told him that he was going to be a shepherd. So whatever your calling is, whatever is going to change your life is something that you're doing right now, because God is with you right now. And how you are able to see the burning bush before you is how you're able to see God in something that is natural, because this is how it happened, that what he was doing is what he was going to be doing. So what are you doing right now? Because this is what you're going to be doing. Because if right now you're just like doing things that are not productive with your time, it means that God is there right now, because time does not exist. So he's there right now and he's watching you doing that, and that's what you're doing. So he was shepherding, and then he was told that he was going to be a shepherd, a job which he tried to flake away from, but destiny would not allow. So in this story, what happened is that he was shepherding some sheep, a flock of sheep, which is the time when God appeared in a burning bush. So when God appeared in this bush, he came as a blaze of fire. And to understand this a little bit deeper, you should understand fire, the black light. So he was in this black light, this fire, and this fire was apparently not consuming the bush which it was burning. So this was the actual test. This was the test. So God appeared in a burning bush in that appearance for a reason. The reason was to test Moses, to see if he had the spirit or the power of discerning. So this was the first test. This was the first trial for him. So if he had not noticed this natural phenomenon, then he would not have passed the test. However, you should realize that he had already noticed the fire, because whenever anyone sees a fire, they're gonna notice it, because a fire is noticeable. A fire, like, everyone notices when there's a fire. Like, a fire is not just gonna start next to you and you don't see it. So this seemed like a very easy test, but on the surface it seems like that. But the real test was for him to understand the elements, because whenever you have fire, this is oxidation. So whenever you have fire, you actually need all of the elements there present. So a fire is part of the elements. We have the 4 elements. We have earth, wind, air, and water. So when you have earth, air, fire, and water. I think I said air and wind. So when you have fire, you need all of the other 3 elements there present. Because when you have fire, you need the earth. The earth is where we get the wood. This is where we get the firewood. Without the firewood, how do you get the fire? So this bush was representing the element of earth. The second element you need is air. Without oxygen, you don't have fire. This is why they used to tell us, like, if there's ever a fire, don't open the window, because more oxygen will give you more air, would bring in more fire. So fire needs air to breathe. And the third thing is water. The conundrum we have is that water and fire are opposites. So we are actually fire bodies, because God is light and we are sons of light, or sons of fire. We burn, like, we're actually really hot. Yeah, I'm hot. Everyone's hot. So this is an element that is opposed to water. Fire and water are opposed to each other, and we are like spiritual flames. Aspire. This is inspiration. This is respiration. This is perspiration. You burn energy in your body and you perspire. You burn energy and you get water out of you. And this is perspiration. because you sweat when you feel heat inside of you. So this is fire and water, and these two go hand in hand, even though they appear to be opposed to each other. This is why you need water in anything that has fire. So a fireman will tell you that having too little water to a fire could actually increase the fire itself, because water actually has fire. So in this burning bush, we have earth, which is the actual bush, the wood, the firewood. We have air, which is the air that is there, and we have a fire, which is the fire that's burning, present, and we have water, because the actual test was for him to see if he was able to reconcile the paradox that this bush is not burning. This bush is not drying up. To die is to dry. So this bush is not drying up. It's still moist. It still has the green leaves, which represent water, which represent life. So it still has life, even though it's burning. So this was a paradox, and this was a test. So this test is what he passed by knowing the elements. So we are also supposed to know the elements, because these elements were present in this burning bush. The only reason why it was a test was for him to realize that these elements that are in opposition are working together, and he was able to realize the supernatural. And this is how we are created, supernatural. So this is where the supernatural being was, because when you know the name of God, it is Lord, Lord, but this is actually let there be light, 4 letters, 4 words, 4 letter God, which are the 4 elements, which is YHWH, Yahuwah, or Yeshua, which is God. So these are the elements that he actually was able to see. He was able to see in the 4th dimension. In other words, he was able to perceive the spirit. In other words, this is discernment, because he had to discern, he had to divide, and he had to think. So you have to think if you want to get what is supposed to be there for you. So God is already there in the elements that are surrounding you, in the paradoxes that are surrounding you, in the things that are confusing you. This is where God is, and this is where he is waiting for you to discover him, or discover them, or discover it, because this is where he is, and this is where he is actually trying to get your attention. So this was God trying to get his attention, and if he hadn't noticed, then there would be no Moses. Then if he hadn't noticed, which would have been impossible, I guess, because it's a fire. Who won't notice a fire? But no, it's more than a fire. This fire has all of the elements working together. So this fire is not an ordinary fire, because water and fire, these 2 elements are working together. So what does this mean? So this is just the paradox, which is in the 4th dimension, because when we're talking about God, we're talking about 4, the tetragrammaton, the YHWH, Yahuwah. We're talking about Yeshua. We're talking about that. We're talking about a 4th dimensional being. So through this, this is what Moses was actually able to grasp. Like, whoa, there's a 4th dimension. And then this is when he was told by the 4th dimension to take off his shoes, because the ground is complete, is holy, is complete. To be holy is to complete something. The ground is complete. There is no impurity in it. This is why we wear shoes, because the ground has impurities, because there was sin in this ground, in this earth. There was death, there was blood spilt. This is why we wear shoes, right? But then this ground was complete. It was holy, it was sanctified, it was sacred. And he removed his shoes. He removed a fake soul, and he actually planted his real soul on his feet. He planted his feet, because the plant, or the bush, was also planted in the same area, in the same ground. So this is an element of the ground. So he is also embodying these elements. So this is the element that was present in this interaction, that his soul, S-O-L-E, is the S-O-U-L, which is soul is soul. Just look at that video to get a deeper grasp in this, because the soul is a plant and whatnot. But his soul was planted on the ground. So he was in soul to soul with God. This is what defined their whole interaction after that. That God said that I will actually make you God to Aaron. Aaron will be your messenger. I will give you my soul, or I will give you this soul, this one thing, the oneness. He was one with God in that aspect, because in this conversation he was made to be God. So because he had his soul on God's soil. Soil. You have to watch that video to get a deeper grasp. Like soul is soul. Soul is soil. So he was in the same soil, or of the same soul with God. There was soul. They were one. This was a matrix. So this was a mating trick, because the whole thing was a trick. Like, all right, I'm going to trick him to see if he's going to see. So he was tricked into a matrix. And this is what creates everything. And through this foundation, this is where we get the whole understanding of let my people free. This is where we get our whole understanding of freedom, of liberty, of bureaucracy, of legal things, because this is where it starts. This is the Torah. This is the torso of everything. And this is the cycle of life. So this was the burning bush. And through this, we got so much different understandings. And through this, we have Moses and everything that he did, everything that he went through and stuff like that. So, yeah. So this is Moses and the burning bush and the 4 elements. And these 4 elements are I am that I am. Because this is the name that God told Moses that he is. And all of these 4 elements are in everyone. We have earth in us. We're made of sand, right? And everyone, the womb that makes me has sand. But in that womb, there's also this sack of water, right? This is where I'm made. I'm made in the water by sand, or through sand, humidity, right? And when I'm in the sack, in the womb, I have air coming to me, coming through my belly and to my heart, to my brain. And this is my mind, because your stomach is your mind, your heart is your mind, your brain is your mind. So I have air coming to my mind the same way I have air just directly here coming to my mind. It's coming to my mind the same way it comes to my mind in the stomach. And I have water, right? And then I have fire, because I have heat. If the person's alive, they have air inside of them, and they naturally produce heat. If a person's cold, you're like, hey, dude, you're like, this person is like cold. Like people get cold when they die, because we have heat inside of us. So we have all of these elements. We have earth, wind, air, right? And we have water, obviously. And we have fire. We have heat. And this is what Moses saw. These are the elements. And this is I am that I am. I am that I am. That bush is what I am. Which are the 4 elements, which is what I am. And I am everything. So this is the great I am. The 4 elements which create everything. Everything. Everything has these 4 elements. This is the great I am. This is the great creation. This is the great realization, consciousness, or the great conscience. So this is the great mind, which has the 4 elements, the 4 tetragrammaton, the 4 everything. So yeah, this is pretty cool. So yeah, I hope that you got that, and that it really transforms your way of looking at things. Because the whole goal is for you to have a different way of seeing the world, so that you're not a prey, but you find your prey. This is what it is. You're either a prey or you have prey. So this is why you should pray, so that you're not the prey. So it's kill or be killed. It's a jungle out there. But then that's how it is. That's really how it is. It's either that you're hunting or you're the hunted. Even God's a hunter. The first thing he did when Adam and Eve sinned, before he even said, I know you guys are bad, the first thing he did was go to hunt. And he went to hunt first. And when he hunted, he caught animals. I don't know what happened to the meat, because Adam and Eve were vegetarian. Noah and the sons were meat eaters. But God skinned it alive. I don't know. He killed it and then he skinned it, I guess. But yeah, he hunted. He's a hunter. So this is just interesting. So yeah, this is how also we're supposed to be in our minds, hunting for the truth, hunting for God, hunting for that. This is what's going to clothe us, and this is what we got. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching this, and see you soon.